This is the sad story of the first squirrel of Alabar Hills. Um, I caused its death. This is my confession. Um, Alabar Hills was a brand new neighborhood. It was in Waterloo, Iowa. It was expanding, and it was used to be a former cornfield, and houses had spread in there, and everybody was brand. They were kind of cheap houses, but they were little houses, and all there were no trees. It had been a cornfield, so where they were just like saplings. Everybody had two saplings in the front yard, and so we did not have a lot of wildlife when I was a kid. The neighbor dog, we didn't have any dog, but the neighbor, they had a dog named Rufus, and Rufus would invade the nearby cornfields and bring home rats. He was just a fabulous rat catcher, but no squirrels because the trees were just too darn small. And then right across from my house was Blackhawk School, and there was a park there between my house and the school was a little park. And trees, they were always planted. The park commission was always planting trees, and the kids were always climbing these trees. I mean, the trees would be like an inch thick and little spindly branches, and kids would try to climb up on them, and they'd break the branches, and they'd pull those trees down, and it was just like a death zone for trees. So we didn't have any squirrels. We didn't have any squirrels at all. So I'm in fourth grade, and I am. It's lunchtime, and I come out of my house, and there, in my front yard, is a squirrel, and I thought, am I dreaming? Can this? How did it get here? I mean, it's a long ways from any sizable tree at all, and I think maybe I can make friends. So I go out there. I approach the squirrel. Squirrel sees me and freaks out, and it runs across the street into the park, and it's looking, its little eyes, they're scanning around looking for trees, but there's nothing but these horrible park broken down saplings, and there's kids out there. It's right toward the end of lunchtime, and kids are coming back to school, and I don't know, there's 50 kids sort of sprinkled around out there in the park, and I start chasing the squirrel, and it's sort of thrilling, and the kids are noticing me. I was like, oh, look, Gary's chasing a squirrel, and the squirrel, he's kind of darts towards some of these little tiny trees, and then he thinks, I can't climb that tree. He'll catch me, and he goes to another tree, and that's too dinky, and I can't believe it, I can't believe the squirrel has not escaped me. I don't even really want to catch the squirrel, but now all these other kids are watching me and yelling, and everybody's sort of thrilled, and so I'm kind of, trotting behind this wretched, terrified squirrel. I chased it all the way across the park, and now we're in like the asphalt area around the school. There's like an apron of asphalt around the school, and there's a lot of kids down there, and everybody's kids are all wildly excited, and the squirrel's just frantically darting up between these legs, and I'm chasing after it, and there's a there's a little stairway that go, and the squirrel darts in there like he's, I don't know, gonna go under an underground tunnel. It's they used to load the coal into there's like a furnace and a boiler down there, and so it's just a staircase that goes really to nothing, to a locked door. And by this time, I'm on the steps, and the squirrel's down at the bottom of the staircase, and it's completely trapped. There's just no place for it to go, and up around the railing that protects this little thing from kids falling in, the kids are all get it, Gary, get it, and I feel like I have to do it. I don't really want to do it, but I feel all this peer pressure, and so I go down there, and I'm kind of scared, and the squirrel has got its back pressed up against the cement wall, and it's snarling at me. His little eyes are, I hate you, go away, and I reach down and I grab him. I pick him up, and the damn squirrel bites me. It just bites me, and I drop it, and I hold up my little bit of bloody hand, and the squirrel, it just darts right up, tries to escape, and the kids are all they all jump back. They're terrified of the squirrel, and except for one kid, the bravest kid in our school was named Jack, And Jack, he chases after that squirrel. He's not terrified of any little squirrel. And well, I heard later on he chased it all the way around the school to the front of the school where there's a flagpole, and he trapped it and he caught it without getting bit. But meanwhile, I am surrounded by little girls, and they're oohing and awing. I'm showing them my bitten finger and everything. And I got what happened was the squirrel ended up a prisoner of the janitor, and I was sent to the school nurse. And the school nurse, I was kind of excited. I was sort of thrilled that I had this exciting squirrel chase and adventure. And she told me that that could be very dangerous. That could be a rabid squirrel. And she told me they would have to test that squirrel, and if that squirrel got away, I'd definitely have to be treated for rabies. And she said I would be injected in the tummy. I can't remember, it's like 7 or 8 injections, very, very painful injections. And I was like, oh my God, this is, it was just running. And I don't think it was a rabid squirrel. It wasn't foaming at the mouth, and it was fleeing me. It wasn't coming at me, or, I mean, it was all my fault, really. I don't know. Well, the janitor took the squirrel up to the Humane Society. And I thought maybe, just get some blood tests or something like that. And actually what happened was they cut the head off that squirrel and shipped it to Des Moines, to some lab in Des Moines, and they tested it. And meanwhile, and it took a couple of weeks to get the test results. So every day, I think Jack was kind of jealous. I mean, he's the one who heroically captured the squirrel, and all I did was get bitten. But every day, girls were talking to me, and they wanted to see my finger and how was I doing? Did I feel like I had rabies? And I'd pull up my shirt and show my tummy where I would get all these horrifying injections. And finally, the report came that the no rabies. The squirrel did not have rabies. So that was the very first squirrel ever to appear in Alabar Hills, my neighborhood. The first squirrel of Alabar Hills, a pioneer, and I'm afraid that was its sad fate.